Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome
Thank
yet
you.
again to another episode of this podcast we do together.
Thank you, friend.
So we are going to play a little game called Click Pitch, ramped up Click Pitch, in fact, and this is a game where we each have a phrase generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we're each going to get a new phrase consisting of an adjective and a noun, and we're going to jam those together into not a sentence, but a, mishmash of words. And then that's going to become a game design. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Click.
Near dodge.
Fingered butchery.
All right, we're going there right off the beginning.
I'm seeing Ben just trying to stifle some laughter. I love having the camera so that we can see each other. It's been the best thing.
It's true. It's added something to the podcast. It's also taken away some of the mystery, but, All right, so fingered butchery. I mean, I feel like this is someone cutting off fingers for some reason. Like, is this a punishment for something? Is this like a loan shark situation, sort of the mafia, or...
Oh, I like the idea of, like, the loan shark is a butcher. And so people come into the butcher shop and put down bets as well as buying sausages. And then they get pulled into the back where the guy's got a big meat cleaver and, he's taking fingers. And they become totally like finger sausages or whatever. Yeah,
then he sells them. He minces them up and puts them in a special blend.
Yeah, and gives them back to the person that he took the fingers from. And it's like, you've got to cook them up and eat it.
If you cook it up and eat it, then I'll take 20% off your bill, off your loan. Yep. All right, so is this maybe a bit of a... I don't know, is that just the narrative hook that we jump off of?
Yeah, it's narrative hook.
Where's near dodge coming from? Is this like a near miss, or is dodge a place?
I kind of like the idea that dodge is like the character that you play. He's sort of like lowly in the loan shark's empire, but he's the one that goes out and tries to be the guy that brings the money back in. And
well, either that or he's just run up against this loan shark. Like, the butcher is almost the villain, the antagonist, and your character Dodge, it's their adventure.
Yeah.
It's their story. But they start off maybe owing a lot of money to the butcher and then having to, like, do jobs for them.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, sort of having to, like, trying to figure out a way out of this. Maybe there's like a romance angle, like with some other characters.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just sort of building up that general story there of the sort of, thief with a heart of gold in a way, or like crook with a heart of gold who's sort of fallen into this business. Almost a bit of, the movie Two Hands with Heath Ledger?
Yeah, that was a really cool movie.
Yeah, where, like, he's sort of just a low-level crook in a way, like...
Yep.
But, yeah, like, some really interesting relationship stuff and just exploration of that sort of underbelly.
I kind of like the idea that, you don't necessarily borrow the money directly from the butcher. You borrow it from someone else, but this other person had a few loans themselves to the butcher, and they sort of transferred your loan over to the butcher when they got
on the death of this, like, as this person died. It's like, okay, now all the loans default to the butcher. Yeah, totally.
And that's how you sort of end up working, trying to pay off your debt, but of course the interest rate has just gone up, and it's like,
oh yeah, and also the types of jobs that you're starting to need to do. You didn't expect to get into literally the sort of organized crime, scene. You just, yes, you borrowed some shady money from an acquaintance.
Yep.
because you wanted to, I don't know, put some bets down or whatever.
I'm kind of thinking it almost like the Edward Norton character from Rounders, where he's sort of like the friend from college or whatever.
Yeah.
But who's got into some bad deals all the way. So you borrow some money from him or you borrow some money for him, and he didn't tell you exactly what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, totally.
And
you
taking on that sort of
you're like taking on that role.
Yeah. And you sort of take on the debt yourself, to try and get him out of it.
Yeah. So since we've got a good kind of narrative vibe here and some interesting characters,
we haven't had like a Mafia-style game that has like those full-on RPG mechanics.
Yeah, like the Mafia games had their sort of open-worldy tropes and you had your different missions and stuff, but yeah, I think bringing in like some companion type stuff, customer characterization, character customization, and like, choosing as you're leveling up or whatever, like, it doesn't have to be called leveling up because that feels a bit out of place, but gaining new skills or something, or getting to choose your direction that you take your character in. That could be really interesting.
Yeah. So you may not be really great at fist fighting at the start, but then after you get a few beatdowns, you take a couple of boxing lessons or something like that, and that's you've now got a basic knowledge of fist fighting, or depending
totally,
on
Well, and I think like we often tend to do when we go in the RPG direction is go the Mass Effect style. I think just because the Mass Effect games married the action and the RPG so well.
Especially Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. And so I don't think you'd want like a turn-based combat. I mean, you could. That could be cool too, actually. Because I feel like there hasn't been a good like tactical turn-based combat game in that scene either, but I feel like that's maybe a different game. Trevor just got so bored. He fell asleep. Those are the types of games I really want to like, and I will play for, one evening and then never go back to it.
Mm.
But yeah, I think that action style thing with some gunfighting, some fist fighting, and then your like conversation skills or your crime skills or your lockpicking skills or your you can always put the what they did for like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. They had a D20 system sitting in the background saying whether you hit or miss and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Base it off real rules and real stats, and then you decide how you want to present that to the player.
I personally thought that was a really good way of doing, the real-time turn-based combat. So there's sort of like your version of, hey, because of your skills, you can hit this many times or this is how good your aim is for guns and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there could be a bit of that. So, and I mean, that would involve more of I think, like, it can still be real time, but instead of FPS style or third person style shooting where you're physically aiming, it's more, okay, like, attack this character, and based on your character's gun skills and dodge skills or whatever, or athletic skills or different things, they'll like pop up and take a few shots, and whether they hit or not is all done based on some actual kind of D&D style or RPG based calculations.
I'm just imagining as you're playing through the games, the different sort of people that they get fingers severed and all this sort of stuff by the butcher, but they end up being given like the concrete shoes and get dumped in the river and all this sort of stuff. And
I feel like you can definitely lose some party members to different tropey ways of of organized crime, murders, sleep with the fishes and such.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
The cool thing about having a character by the name of Dodge is, it doesn't matter whether you choose male or female at the start. It's
not just your name; it's also one of your stats.
Yeah, but you can choose either any sort of character, and their nickname can just be Dodge. Like that's
totally. Well, and that's actually the other the comparison I was going to make was Dragon Age, or the Knights of the Old Republic games definitely did a lot of that kind of, you're attacking this person, but it's, your underlying stats that determine how well you hit and that sort of thing, as opposed to the player skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love that idea of, because there's a real progression already there in working your way up the ranks of this organization. And I think you can then have multiple endings, which are maybe, possible or not, depending on character choices you've made. But, you can either take out the butcher and, like, end his organization, or you can take him out and take over the organization, or maybe you can, like, partner up with him. Also, like, you can have some different endings that are only, you obviously, if you've been going against the butcher this whole time, then maybe you can't partner up with him at the end. But, or if you've been sort of trying to do the right thing most of the time, maybe maybe it's too out of character to then take over as this kingpin. But yeah, you've got the choices there. Is the point? It's
just really scary when Kingpin does actually turn up at the end, and it turns out that
like
this
Marvel's
is
Kingpin.
This is a full-on Marvel thing. You just didn't know about the Butcher because, like, he's such a ancillary character that
totally, and I mean,
you should have known because you saw
known.
J. Jonah Jameson walking down the street, complaining about Spider-Man, and
we should have known when your own character, when it only let you choose a first and last name that had the same first letter.
Yeah, Danny Dodge.
Well, no, I think Dodge is still your nickname, but you can choose, But it restricted you to the same first letter. It's like, and then the sequel is a full-on Marvel superhero RPG, which would also be an awesome game.
Yeah. But again,
I know Marvel's done RPG-ish stuff.
Yeah, but again,
before,
you don't play one of the heroes. You play one of the ancillary characters who are helping the heroes. 3, 2, 1, click.
All right, yeah, I like that a lot. That's very cool.
Dusky Seaman.
SEA?
Nope.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
I read it first as Dusty Seaman, and then it turns out
it was Dusky. Well, I have Hasty Population, which is this a game where you play a sperm?
I hear Hasty Population. I hear Dusky Seaman, and I'm just thinking about, like, hasty rabbits. It's late night. They're, like, fucking like rabbits, and it's just, a population simulator of rabbits.
Or the other thing I thought is Dusky Seaman could definitely be a name, like someone's name, Dusky Seaman. Like you could go the typical thing that they're a porn star or a stripper or something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's definitely like a male porn star's name, Dusky Seaman.
Yep.
I feel like
loving this.
Sex work could be an interesting area to bring gaming into it that hasn't been done very much. And look, I don't have a lot of experience in the realm of sex workers other than I support them. In general,
and really, I think they're underrepresented.
Absolutely, they're underrepresented. Yeah,
so
I can't think of any games. Well, and in general, in games they're fodder, right? Like they're sacrifices. They're fridged. They're
I kind of like the idea that your character on the side, like, he works in porn. And his nickname in the porn movies is Dusky Seaman.
Yeah, it's his stage name.
But the whole game is not about what he does for work. It's around, like, his moonlighting job.
Okay.
In which he hastily, runs around the city delivering packages.
Oh, like, does he deliver, like, sperm samples or something? He's like the courier for IVF clinics.
Yeah, and the sort of gameplay that I'm picturing is that Crazy Taxi sort of
I kind of went there too.
You've only got
this embryo is gonna be unviable
you need to keep the semen
seconds.
sample viable, and I mean, what else are they going to do?
And if you don't, then you just replace it with your own.
What else are they going to do with
know.
all the semen from all the porn movies? Like, then give it to a good home.
That's disgusting. I don't think
3 to 1 click.
Yeah. Impending letter.
Playful videotape.
Okay. Sending videotapes through the mail.
Ooh, you said impending letter, and I'm sort of thinking some sort of mail correspondence, sending videotapes in the mail.
Yeah. I like the idea of receiving these videotapes and getting new, like, information about a story or a person or a situation. Like, maybe it's we could go to the point of, like, a serial killer or something who is, like, sending these letters to the cops or to the victims beforehand or to the survivors after or something, like, as a clue.
Yeah, but playful, because it's all about, you know.
Well, okay,
at first it looks playful, but then it turns out to be
because my idea was around at like 90s Saturday morning TV show, 80s or 90s kind of Saturday morning TV style thing. And that we'd do something with that, but maybe those are the videos. Maybe the killer sends these videos and they're like a host on this fucking creepy ass Saturday morning TV thing with like weird puppets and shit.
Oh, you know that it has to be like one of those cheap, like UHF channels in the States, kind of like
like a public access,
public access
style thing.
Channel 31. Really cheap, nasty cartoons.
That could actually be a super creepy serial killer thing. Is because you know how puppeteers, like some styles of puppeteering, the puppeteer is just all in black, and are controlling the puppets so that they kind of blend into the background. That could be like this guy's kind of killing
MO,
slasher outfit, effectively.
And some of the earlier, I'm thinking some of the earlier videos are a little bit more playful and all this sort of stuff, and they've, the puppets are really well designed, but they get a little bit more.
Or they start like falling to pieces and getting all ratty and
and rotting, and
like
it turns out
pieces falling off.
It's all felt that's been super glued to like a head, like, and the skin's just falling off.
Oh, yes. Well, who was it that sent the dolls with the human teeth?
Oh, yes. Oh,
this is outside of this, but we've both recently seen these. I love the idea that as it goes on, these dolls actually start getting replaced with basically pieces from the victims.
Yep.
That is so fucking...
But I'm also just imagining that they were always a victim. Like, the basis of the puppet is still, like...
Maybe. I kind of like
the
idea of this being almost a weird Pinocchio situation where he's, like, trying to make the puppet into a real boy by grafting on limbs and things.
Okay, so who do you play in this game? Obviously not the killer.
No, I think you're playing...
Are you playing the host of this like public access show? And someone
that could be interesting.
It's basically
sending you them to be aired, and you're like, you initially do air them, but as they start getting creepier, or you start like, you realize that things they've said have matched up to these murders or these people that are missing or something.
Yeah, that I'm picturing that because of like one of the videos that you show, like the police become involved, saying who's sending you these.
Totally.
We need to keep on putting these up on the
right. Otherwise, yeah,
because he escalates every time that you refuse.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, I'm almost. There are a few different ways we could take this. I could see it as one of those games where it's just sort of set on your like studio thing, where you've just got a couple screens or like a couple of views. Almost, it's like, okay, here is the sort of the 4 screens or whatever that you can flick between for that are going out on the air on this public access station, and then over here you've got like your incoming mail, and you've got your your email, and you've got a door that people can appear at or something, and that literally the whole game is just sort of taken from these few different views of your little workstation here.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're viewing these videos on the screens, and yeah, like maybe you're setting up the schedule or something, so you've got choices about airing them at different times, and just some again, bringing in like the mundane choices of your actual job, and then mixing it in with, oh, but I have to decide whether or not to air this fucking serial killer's creepy ass puppet video.
Yeah, and I like the idea that the sort of, by choosing not to play it, you're going to actually cause him to escalate and do worse shit,
like do more harm or ramp up the killings.
Or by playing it, you're also sort of helping him in distributing his goods to the masses, and so it's basically a lose-lose situation of.
Yeah, and I think you just maybe get like different endings or branched narratives a bit of, depending on the different things you choose, and different scenes that can happen. Like maybe the cops, like maybe if you don't play them for a few times in a row, like he calls the station and threatens you. You hear his fucking like the puppet voice over the phone, just like hey, you didn't play my video last night.
I'm gonna ram this dick up your ass. Turn you into a puppet, motherfucker.
I am the puppet master. You will be my puppet
that is
baby.
Just creepy as
Muppet babies. I totally had a view. I totally had an idea in there as well of, in each of the videos you see he's in the background manipulating these puppets dressed all in black. But at one point in the video, if you're not watching closely, you don't realize that he gets up and leaves, and his puppets are still like moving. It's like that. It's like that video with the gorilla walking through the school children. Like if you're just watching the puppets, you might not actually notice that the person who's supposed to be puppeteering them gets up and leaves. It's just like this totally creepy thing that's left unexplained or whatever. But
yeah, I think if it's done well. Like you're focused on this disgusting stuff that's actually happening, and you don't realize that he just walks out of the scene and walks back in at the end. Like, it's at the start, and at the end he's there, but in the middle he's just walked away, and the puppets are still going. That's just, yep. It's on the third time that you watch it. It's sort of like the Too Many Cooks, where you when you watch that over and over and over, and you realize, oh shit, this isn't what you think it is.
Well, I'm putting moments like that into the videos that you're getting because, particularly given the context that we're putting it in, and that you've got the ability to like scrub back and forth and stuff, so it sort of really puts you in that space of like, oh wait, what the hell did I just see? Rewind. Well, you can't. I wonder. Well, I guess you can if you've got a proper like video editing suite or something. You can probably actually scrub back and forth, but otherwise, it's like, oh shit, rewind. Okay, play. No, I didn't go back phone. I rewind. Like just an old VHS, old VCR.
It's Betamax.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, 3 to 1 click.
Yeah. Alleged driving.
Dejected psychoanalyst.
Okay. So I was kind of heading in this direction already, but I feel like psychoanalyst pushed it over the edge. I feel like driving is golf.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just feel like psychiatrists and psychoanalysts probably golf a lot.
Yep.
There's the whole doctors golfing thing. Alleged driving makes me feel like there's some sort of mystery as to who hit a golf ball. Like the sort of the driving, pun not intended, force behind this story is a particular golf swing, golf hit or something, and the ball landed somewhere and it set off some chain of events.
And so I'm imagining that this psychoanalyst, has to sort of go around and like they watch someone's golf swing and they can tell everything about this person based on the golf swing. It's like it's like their one. It's like their one skill that.
That's I think it's just their gimmick. They're in like some fucking upper class, neighborhood of LA or something. And so their gimmick to get all these rich bastards into there is that I'll psychoanalyze you via your golf swing.
Yeah.
But, he's actually become fairly good at it.
But dejected, I'm sort of seeing this as sort of over the whole hoity-toity LA lifestyle.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's jaded.
Yep.
Or she.
Yeah.
Actually, I like the idea of it being a woman, because I was going towards... This feels like kind of a house MD or like one of those procedural shows where you've got the sort of the person who's a semi-genius in one particular way. And so, yes, she started off doing this as a gimmick, but it's actually proven to be a really effective way to like find things out about people is to watch them play golf.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, she's kind of over it in a lot of ways and sick of this lifestyle, but also she's really good at it and kind of can't stop analyzing people.
I kind of like the idea that the prologue is like her in her prime, where she's, she's solving this final case where she's watching this person do a golf swing and she's just picked out of all these people playing this tournament. It's like, that's the guy that murdered that person because, his swing is coming from inside to out and all this sort of stuff. And she basically just breaks it all down and, but then
diagnoses them as a psychopath because of their golf swing.
But
it's
then
like,
something actually happens and like it's 20 years later and she's just sick of the whole scene, especially in LA. I'm picturing that.
Well, and I almost feel like, is this one of those situations where that case like threw her into the limelight?
Yeah, it was so high profile.
So high profile. She like wrote a book. She, had all these high profile clients. She's now in this super swanky house or apartment or whatever.
But no one else, she's never been able to pick anyone else out because like the amount of times that golf comes into it,
maybe just nobody's playing golf anymore.
But then
it's like climate change.
But then there's this massive pileup that happens and this massive traffic accident from someone taking a golf swing from up in the hills onto the highway, and it's like so they sort of call her and they get her to come down. And, like,
it's one of those classic like, you got to come back. She's sitting there on the edge of a building, contemplating suicide. It's like, no, I'm done with that life.
I don't like golf anymore.
Job. It's a game for privileged assholes, and I don't want to look at anyone swing a golf club ever again and realize that they've got mummy issues and.
But I'm just imagining as she's sitting up there, and you see across the road or something like that. She's sitting on the edge of a building and you see like this massive screen on someone's wall, and they're talking about this golf ball that's caused this major accident. And
I was going to say that she's sitting up there, but she's actually, there's a driving range down like that she can see. It's all lit up, and she's just like wallowing, but she can't stop. She says, it's this this great scene. Actually, she's looking down on this driving range, and her friend or whatever, or the cop or something who's come to like get her help is, you gotta come back. And she sits there and she's like,
arrest that guy.
Sociopath,
beats his girlfriend, kill him now. Like,
surprisingly, that guy's surprisingly, okay, but beats the kids. Just all these. And then obviously, I guess there's she's convinced to come back. And then is it just, I guess you've maybe got it. Is the rest of the game then about you've got a list of subjects and you have to find ways for them all to play golf?
You've got to basically find, the allegory for golf in a particular scene. So it's like you can sort of see
have them swing at something.
How someone's, they do a throw and they do that sort of underarm throw, and it's like, okay, I can see that they're bringing their shoulders through and all this sort of stuff, and you can sort of break it down in that sort of way, and you can bring it almost back to
or like they're in a kitchen and you got to somehow like release a mouse or a rat or something in there that they like get the broom and try to sweep it out the door. Yeah, that's cool. I'm picturing this as a bit of a point-and-click adventure game then, where you've just got all these different scenes, and the sort of the main goal is always to get them to do a semi-golf swing style thing in some way.
I just love the fact that this cop that you're with, like, it's a platonic relationship. There's no sexual tension or anything like that. Like, and I'm picturing it's because your character is actually in a relationship, like. We
can add a love interest or a partner or whatever in there. Yeah,
like she's got a family. She's happy, so there's just a working relationship with her cop partner, and I'm picturing that this cop partner sees it as it's amazing to be working with this person, but she's just all jaded and. Like, still-
totally. And I mean, it is very much like a house MD or Bones doesn't quite have that relationship, but it's that typical, or like fucking Castle. Yeah, I like that a lot. Click. That's really cool. Illogical velocity.
Rumpled testicle.
Oh fuck! Are you kidding me?
That's what I've got.
What is wrong with this?
I'm on higher complexity than what I normally would be, but
the illogical velocity of a rumpled testicle. It's about like getting testicle torsion or something. Is this a physics game?
See, I heard rumpled testicle, and I started thinking Rumpelstiltskin sort of thing. But
yeah, so Rumpleballskin. Is this like a completely dirty, mixed up Mother Goose?
Yep.
Got Jack off and Jill off. You've got Humpty. Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
I mean, Humpty Dumpty's just dirty anyway.
Likes anal sex,
It's just his thing. Well, he's one of those like vibrating eggs.
Likes going up the dumper.
Yeah, totally up the dumper. That's the name of the episode. No. I feel like this is one of those games that you see advertised on porn sites. It's like guaranteed to come in 5 minutes.
I would not know.
Oh, sure, Trevor. Is your wife in the background?
Hey, I pay for premium. I don't get any of those ads.
Little boy blue balls.
Peter Piper.
Peter Piper picked a peck of dildo. Dirty dildos.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled penises.
I mean, just pickled peckers instead of peppers. Very good. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peckers. Say that 10 times fast with a dick in your mouth.
Picked a pack of pickled peckers. Okay, 3 to 1 click.
Oh, come on. No, there's more.
Okay,
this is fun.
What's the game? What's the game?
No, there's no game. The game is us coming up with dirty Mother Goose puns.
No. What were your words again?
Illogical velocity.
Okay.
Maybe this is about Humpty Dumper.
But we've done
and the
we've
way
done
that
the
he fell
Humpty.
off.
We've done a
I
Humpty
know,
game in the
but it wasn't
last couple of
this.
weeks.
All right, who else would go into the logical velocity? Is this
Rumple
about
Ballskin.
Okay.
I'm just thinking that he got ejected out of his previous kingdom or whatever.
Ejaculated out. Yep.
Yep. If you want to say that. I'm sort of thinking that because he's changed his name because everyone was guessing Rumpelstiltskin, so he's sort of
right. So he did just mix it up a little.
Yep.
Go a bit for the older crowd.
He didn't realize that by changing his name to Rumpelstiltskin, that he'd actually change
the whole
nursery rhyme
world
to this perverted, sex-driven thing, because he just thought it was funny just to they'll never guess Rumpelstiltskin, and it turns out that he's changed everyone's psyche in this, because it turns out that he's he doesn't really belong in this world.
All right, so is this the story then of Rumpelstiltskin trying to put things back to rights?
Yeah.
As he travels through,
he almost becomes the hero of a story that he was previously the villain of.
Yeah. Hickory dickory cock, the mouse ran up my cock.
You just rhymed cock with cock.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, 3 to 1 click.
Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muff died.
Come on.
Mary
Boned
had
bypass.
a little pink jam.
I just got the word boned.
Boned?
Yes.
Boned bypass?
Yes.
Burning root.
Okay, clicking again.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, click.
Incompatible intellect.
Breathing landing.
Okay.
Which isn't really a phrase that sort of goes well together, but incompatible intellect, you said?
Yeah. So I sort of see this as a what if two mismatched characters that, like a Holmes and Watson sort of character, they got put together where they're not actually compatible. That, they basically, everything they say doesn't lead the other person to
I like the idea of that relationship, that style of relationship. Breathing landing makes me think of either space,
yep,
or underwater, some sort of thing there.
Why do I now really want to see a Sherlock Holmesy sort of thing, but
in space,
/ on the International Space Station?
Well, so what I almost thought of, and I don't know that we'd want to go the full Sherlock Holmes where they're, people are coming to them to solve mysteries or whatever, but I kind of thought of the idea where someone won a trip up to the International Space Station or something, or somehow figured their way onto the space station, but they're actually not very clever.
Yeah. I kind of, you could almost take the incompatible intellect a little bit different in the fact that if you had a language barrier up there, that you had someone who only spoke English and someone that only spoke Russian or Mandarin or something like that, and basically you don't have that. They have to try and work together, but it's very incompatible because they think in totally different languages, and you have that sort of thing of having to try and work through this mystery that's happening up there.
Yeah,
with other astronauts up there, because for some reason, one person from each group has been sort of taken or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that idea of just you and 1 or 2 other astronauts left on the space station, and you don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
And so you need to communicate, non-verbally, essentially, and having to navigate and solve puzzles around the space station while working with them in different ways.
Yeah, like basically there's now, you had like the translator on board who could speak all these different languages, and they're the person that has gone missing.
Or maybe this is even, because I suspect, like, right now that a lot of astronauts speak, a lot of the other languages that the general sort of spacefaring countries speak, but maybe this is set in a time when there's a universal translator of sorts, or at least some translator between these languages, and so astronauts no longer learn the other languages because they're just so used to using the translator.
Because they don't have to, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously, like, something happens and the translator goes out as part of whatever's going on the ship, and yeah, they totally just can't communicate anymore.
Oh, I love the fact that you can basically bring back the translator, but the database has been corrupted, so it's very fractured.
Like replaces words with other ones.
Oh, not even that, but like it replaces some of the words. So
right.
as you're able fragments. To go further, like further defragmentation has happened, and like now you can have it that okay, now you're getting 20% of the words are being translated.
Well, and that could even be like your act break or something. Like the end of the first act is you have a mission to fix the translator, and you get like 20% functionality back.
Now, of course,
and that allows you to kind of
what
communicate
works really well for 0G, but VR. So I'm sort of thinking that this is taking the idea of Earthlight and all those sort of spacewalk games, but putting it into a full blown like mystery that's going on up there.
Well, I'm picturing along the lines of like a Tacoma or Observation, or I think there was another one recently.
I mean, effectively Lone Echo, but
right. I haven't played that one, but yeah, I like that a lot, and bringing in this language barrier is cool. I'm almost picturing a bit of so just to make it a bit more interesting, and because we don't actually have to build this so we can make it more complicated, I wonder if this is rather than just a straight narrative game where you've basically got gated sections and you get through a story bit and solve a puzzle and whatever. I wonder if this is a bit more of a systems-based thing where the other astronauts and stuff, they've got like their tasks that they're doing, and they're going around the space station and doing the different things, and like, yes, the universal translator's out, but it's not at this point you just think it's a glitch or something.
Yeah.
And so
if you think that if you get to this one area and you unplug it and plug it back in, it'll all sort of fix itself.
Yeah, well, and I'm almost picturing and I guess I don't have another gameplay loop in mind other than I like the idea of sort of simulating the space station in some way and the people on it. But that it's not the entire gameplay loop about just solving this crisis. It's sort of more of a background thing, and then you're getting story as the rest of the game kind of goes on. I
mean, you're up there for a mission, so your mission obviously has some parameters that you got to be doing every day. You're running tests for the rest of the world. Basically,
you're doing different experiments and different. Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a reason why we send people up there. It's not just to be able to sit up there. They're obviously doing something very important.
Yeah. I mean, generally they're doing science. Yeah.
So I like the idea of having to still keep that sort of science going and taking readings.
Well, I like the idea then that maybe you're doing some science around like neutrinos or, something where you don't want the barrier of the Earth's atmosphere to
give way to gamma radiation.
Well, to get in the way, right? Like you want the cleanest kind of exposure to outer space as possible. But you discover through these experiments that it's actually related to, you start getting weird results in your experiments and you realize that's actually related to why the translator's out, and that it's actually this like cataclysm that's coming towards Earth that's going to destroy all technology.
Yeah.
It's like a solar flare times 100 or something.
Yeah, it's Galactus.
It's just going to... Yeah, it's Galactus, totally. And this is yet another Marvel game that we've secretly snuck into the episode, where at the very end of the game you find out it's been Marvel all along.
And the reason why something happened before is the Silver Surfer came down beforehand and accidentally knocked out the translator.
Yeah, he was doing tricks on his surfboard and he just hit the thing on the outside.
Yeah, just
fucker.
He just knocked it a little bit and totally fucked it up. But what you didn't realize is that your name is Dr. Victor Doom.
So next episode of Bitstorm is just going to be an all Marvel sequels game episode to these games.
No, it'll be DC.
Fuck DC. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Agricultural companion.
Glorious icon. I mean, agricultural companion and glorious icon, I come back to a scarecrow.
Okay, I wasn't going there. I was going to some sort of worshipping a god to make your crops grow, but pagan? I like your idea better. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea that this scarecrow that is your companion happens to be a personification of a pagan god or something like that.
Right. The pagan god of agriculture.
Yeah. And
okay, either that or this is some sort of situation where either an alien being or some sort of being that doesn't understand humans has decided that the scarecrow is a godlike idol, like an idol to a god, because why else would they put them in all their fields?
Yeah. Other
than to bring good luck and prosperity to their, to their growth.
Mm-hmm.
And so is this do the aliens take this back to their world and they start worshipping scarecrows, and then this is generations later that we pick up in this scarecrow based religion?
Yeah. I do like that. But let me just put something out there. Okay. So imagine this sort of world where, this person has gone out into the field and is talking to their companion, the scarecrow. And the scarecrow is sort of telling them that the reason why all the crops are failing is because of, there haven't been enough blood sacrifices.
Okay.
And
the
so
scarecrow is talking back.
So effectively, this guy who's running this village, kind of like a Sims sort of thing. But the idea is that you got to try and keep a low enough profile while keeping the yields high.
Okay.
But effectively, you're doing what I used to love doing.
Valley,
yes,
Occult Edition.
Occult Edition. But you're basically having to select certain people within the village that are going to be offered up for sacrifice to the scarecrow.
Okay. I do like the idea of taking a Stardew Valley-esque game and adding in these tasks where it's better set your alarm for midnight or for 11:52 because we've got to get up the hill to where the head scarecrow is and sacrifice on the altar the person that we kidnapped yesterday.
So I'm just imagining that every month they have this festival that they're sort of putting together, and they select a certain person to be sort of the king or queen of the festival and all this sort of stuff. But the whole pretense is to try and find that one sacrifice that they're going to be able to.
It's a very Midsummer as well.
Yeah. I'm actually sort of taking it from a podcast I recently listened to, which is by the Glass Cannon. But
okay.
They did a thing, a side quest called the Feast of Ravenmoor, and just I love this idea of this festival that seems all innocent, and people sort of come to town and
it's in that way it's in Midsummer they had the May Queen, who is essentially. I mean,
I haven't seen it yet, so
no, I won't spoil it.
Yeah, don't. I'm planning on watching it. It looks pretty amazing. But anyway, I'm sort of seeing. I mean, where I came from is more along the Sims line, where, I mean, one of the things I used to love doing in The Sims was, how many people could I kill, and
of course,
would they not get, would people not get, totally weirded out by the whole thing?
Well, I do like the idea of the player kind of building these relationships in a sense, or like getting to know these people, and they could be proceeded like The Sims. They could be sort of generated, but it's just that you start based on your interactions with them, and with your character, you start assigning kind of value, different opinions to them, so that when it does come time to select someone, it's like, oh, fucking
Gary.
Why do I always go for? Sure. Fucking Gary, like, tried to hit on the woman that I'm into, and so fuck Gary, we're going to sacrifice him.
So I think, and this is sort of a way of alleviating, the whole suspicion, is that you can actually, the Scarecrow companion can effectively create another Scarecrow that can take the form of the person that gets sacrificed. So you've got all these...
Oh, so it's like a body snatchers kind of situation.
Body snatchers by these, the pagan god, or whatever type of god you want to actually put in this place. But it's sort of like this real nasty sort of... I don't know. This horror stuff going on underneath.
Like random bits of straw sticking out of their skin and stuff.
Yeah.
This mishmash of like straw and burlap sacks made into flesh, effectively.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that eventually you're trying to in your run, you're trying to get the entire town converted. But the thing is, what the Scarecrow hasn't told you is, like, obviously, the entire town needs to be converted, including yourself.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea, actually, then, of the challenge around picking the right people so that the rest of the town doesn't get suspicious.
Yeah.
And that the game can kind of go in different directions as you play through, of like, oh, like, you chose too many of the wrong people, like, they're coming for you with, like, pitchforks and, torches and pitchforks or whatever.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have chosen, right at the very start, Tyra, Georgina, and Emily, because it turns out that, like, all the teenage boys were able to tell straight away that they weren't normal.
If anyone could figure it out, then it'd be teenage boys. Certainly. That's an interesting one. I like the idea of bringing different inspirations into a Stardew Valley sort of style.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to a final game design here, and we are going to do something a little bit different. We did this last week. We're going to use this game prompt generator of sorts. Gameplay generator. Trevor has one ready to go, I think.
Yeah.
So let her rip.
Okay. So in this game, you're going to be a budding chef who loves animals, but will stop at nothing to learn how to cook.
Okay.
So I kind of like the idea of he's grown up on a farm, but he's a vegetarian sort of he wants to be a vegetarian chef, but people love meat so much that, like, it's that
this is a game about having to manage the grills and utensils at a restaurant that does both vegan and meat-based foods, and you got to make sure, like, not to mix them up, or they have to be, like, cleaned properly in between. It's kind of like a spinning plate situation where you got to cook up the meat and then switch it out to cook up your vegan stuff.
You got to really clean that grill down.
Yeah. Lots of scrubbing of grills. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this lends itself obviously to some sort of cooking game, at least in part. I wonder if you can bring in a mishmash. Did you ever play Battle Chef Brigade or something, or Battle Chef something? It kind of mixed up like a bit of a cooking game with platforming stuff, because you'd have to like go out and hunt your ingredients and then come back and like do a sort of puzzle-ish game to cook your meals. I like the idea of mixing up a cooking game with something else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the suggestion that they gave was Bullet Hell.
Okay.
Because it was a mix-up of Bullet Hell and an educational game.
Right. I could see a Bullet Hell cooking game.
Yeah, kind of like the Undertale sort of.
Yeah, where you're almost having to avoid certain ingredients, catch other ingredients for the type of meal you're making or something.
But also having to make that decision. Do you kill your beloved lamb to feed the starving? You know, when the food
Patrons.
stocks run low, do you kill your billy goat to make that goat stew?
Right, but then how are you going to make... Well, I was about to say how are you going to make your goat cheese, but you just said a billy goat, which... not give milk. And we're back at Dirty Nursery Rhymes. But yes, I get what you're saying, that you're sort of having to balance up. I mean, that's an interesting thing also, like balancing up the non-lethal, effectively, ingredients that you get from animals versus the meat.
Yeah.
You know, when do you kill your chickens versus getting their eggs? When do you, kill your goats versus, or your cows, or versus getting their milk?
When do you not do any of that because you're vegan and, you know, you just let them be and you go with, you know, an X-level vegan that you're waiting for fruit to drop from the trees before you use it. And
that's where the bullet hell comes in, except it's that you're avoiding everything else, waiting for that one apple to drop.
Okay, I have one more.
All right, yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, it's a game where you play as an influencer with no friends trying to explore the world. So I'm thinking
most influencers
that's an influencer that has no followers.
Well, I kind of do like the idea of that's where you start off. Like, it's natural to start off. You are a fresh baby influencer.
Yep.
And somehow the game is about building your followers.
Yep. Kind of like, you know, the game dev tycoon and, you know, YouTube life and...
Yeah, well, I think... So there are some games like that already. I wonder if we can veer away from that a bit.
But this is about going throughout the world trying to find cafes to you know, have coffees in and take photos and shit of food to try and...
Well, I wonder if we can mash this up with something. I like the idea of your character as an influencer and sort of your gauge being how many followers you have.
Yeah. As
to how well you're doing or how far through you are. Can we bring this, and I'm not saying this is the setting we go, but like I'm remembering the first Dead Rising where you're like taking photos and stuff of zombies and things and getting points for them. Like, is there a way that we can bring in, you are an influencer in some bizarre, like some situation where you're having to take photos of strange things and getting followers for that? Like, is this a post-apocalypse? Is it, you know, you're in the middle of a alien invasion? Like, what's going on?
Ooh, I do love alien invasion. Like, you're going throughout Europe and right as people, like, for some reason, Europe has been the chosen place to be taken over by the aliens. But because America or whichever country that you actually come from is like in such a shambles, the aliens haven't gone there. Like they've basically stayed away. But so you're taking photos of this occupying force.
Yep.
And that's how you get
basically trying to convince. Yeah. You're spreading the news back home about what's happening here and gaining this follower.
You seem to be the only one who hasn't been affected. Probably because, you know, you're from this country that they didn't want to touch. Everyone else has already been snatched.
Well, or is it just like you're still doing it through, so now we're trying out this great new restaurant that's just opened up. I'm going to try the flop there. And it looks like it's some sort of living creature that is dying slowly on my plate. So, shoot me a like if you want me to try it. And
but in like reality, it's 3 hours of setting up the photo, and the thing has actually died. Everyone else who ate it is basically being, infected / taken over.
You think this is how they got infected? The reason they didn't get infected is because they took so long to get the perfect shot of the food that the alien organism had died. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that as a setup.
And so, of course, I'm thinking that the aliens and the other people there, they can't tell whether someone's an alien or not. They basically assume that everyone is, because everyone should have eaten this food all at once. No, they didn't expect anyone to...
Is this character oblivious then? Is this a situation where the character is actually oblivious to the fact, and it's almost the audience knows, and like the player being the audience knows this situation, but the character you're playing just thinks they're still traveling around Europe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, these strange European customs.
And the thing is, it would actually, certain viewers out there would also go, these just must be European customs. Like,
oh yeah, particularly if they're from America, as in like the viewers. That's cool. I don't know where the gameplay comes in necessarily. I feel like there's some photography
it's
stuff.
VR. It's like taking photos, setting up. I mean,
how do you make that fun?
It's just, everything's fun in VR.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know I don't know if we can take that so far where you're just literally setting up a photo shoot for 3 hours. But
I'm picturing that. When you go to take the photo, then it sort of, it sort of shows. Oh, this is all the stuff that went down.
Yeah. You can. There are ways around it. I guess the main problem is influencers don't do shit. So how do you make a game with them? But anyway, someone can figure it out. All right. Well, I think we'll end that episode there. If you want to find us online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Go through some of our previous episodes. Leave us a review. Hit us up on the social networks. They're all linked there as well. We're also part of the 8-Bit Collective, and this is a group of podcasters around pop culture and games and a bunch of other things. So go to 8bit.net, check out some of the other great shows there.
Okay, and we'd also like it if you could check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just search Facebook for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network, or look at Twitter and try to find the AGP Network. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuradust for the use of the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
And I'm Dusky Seaman.